Hey, what's up, everybody? Thunderfist 1978 coming at you here on Throwback Thursday. Hope everybody's had a great day so far. So before I get started, I have a couple of announcements to make. First of all, I'm going to give a big thank you to Ed Starlight 1979. Thank you very much for following last night. It really means a lot to me. Secondly, tonight's stream is dedicated to a couple of special people who are friends of my channel and who have been instrumental in helping me get to where I am today. And those people are Mr. Yeti and Christy Kitty. And this stream is dedicated to the memory of one of their two cats, Baby, who they learned yesterday had an incurable form of cancer, and so that he won't suffer, they had him put to sleep today. And it was, it's a heartbreaking decision. No pet owner ever wants to do that, but there are times when it is the right decision to make, and this time, I agree that was the right decision to make, because, I can't imagine, the kind of pain Baby must have been in. But he's not suffering anymore, and his memory lives on in all of the cat cameos he participated in. Yeti and Christy often said that Baby was the true star of their channel, and nobody who has followed who has followed Mr. Yeti during his time streaming would argue that point. It's just not going to be the same without him. Baby, we love you, we miss you, and tonight's stream is for you. Let's get to playing some Kangaroo. I covered this one a while back, but it's one I've always wanted to come back to. So basically, you play as a mama kangaroo who is trying to rescue her Joey. Oops. I don't know why it took... Sorry, folks. Took me a second to remember which button was the punch button. I don't think I've played this since the last time we streamed it, which has been a couple of months ago. So, this game was made by... Alright, the heck with it. That monkey's getting too far away. So, basically, you have to avoid the apples and apple cores, but you can punch the monkeys. It's basically a Donkey Kong style game, but it doesn't completely copy the gameplay of Donkey Kong, which that's one of the big reasons I really like this game. I've always been a big fan of this game. Like when I was a kid, I used to see this one a lot at laundromats and whatnot in my area. I remember one laundromat specifically that had this. And although they had the Atari version, the version that we're playing is the original Sunsoft version. This was released in 1982, if anybody's wondering. And yeah, like I said, it was originally released by Sunsoft, or Sun Electronics as they were called at that time. And here in the U.S., it was distributed by Atari. And Atari, a lot of times, when they were a licensee of a title by another company, they would change the gameplay up a little bit. I can't tell that gameplay-wise this game has any changes to it. The only real changes that I've noted are the Joey saying mom instead of mom in English text instead of mama in katakana like he does in the Japanese version. And the fact that there's no music playing during the gameplay in the Atari version. Instead, you hear the hopping of the mama kangaroo, who she's called Katie in the Saturday morning cartoon of Kangaroo. For anybody who may remember, back in the early to mid 80s, there was a cartoon block on CBS called Saturday Supercade. It was all cartoons based on video games. And during the second season of Saturday Supercade, Kangaroo got her own cartoon in the lineup. Okay, basically the way Saturday Supercade went, it was an hour-long cartoon block. And in the first season, the cartoons that were part of it were Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., Frogger, Pitfall, and Cubert. And they would air 15-minute segments of Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., and, excuse me there, folks, and Frogger every week. And then every other week, okay, duly noted, we cannot punch while jumping. You use up on the joystick, or in this case, D-pad, to jump in this game. There is no jump button. The only button you have to deal with is the punch button. I don't think so. So you can get your boxing gloves stolen. So, be mindful of that. There's a large ape. He's the one that can steal your boxing gloves. And if this happens to you, then you're defenseless until the boxing gloves reform on your hands. That might be something that Atari changed, because I seem to recall the boxing gloves being placed somewhere on the screen where you could try to pick them back up in the Atari version. Whereas in the Sunsoft version, oh, and here he comes. In the Sunsoft version, you basically just wait for the gloves to reform on your hands. And if you press the punch button while you have no gloves, then the kangaroo's tiny hand holds out a white flag. That's basically her way of saying, okay, I get it. I'm defenseless here. And unfortunately, that's game over. So 46,500. That's our highest score so far at this game. I have always been a big fan of this game. Well, I said that earlier, but it bears repeating. So there are 4 different fruits that you can gather. There are strawberries, as you see here, and then you can get tomatoes to pop up. I'm sure everybody knows this, but in case there's any who don't, yes, folks, tomatoes are in fact fruits. So, the fruits increase in point value with each one. Like the strawberries are worth 100 points. The tomatoes are worth 200. And these berry clusters here, at least I think those are berry clusters, those are worth 400 points apiece. Oh, dear. And then the final bonus fruit is pineapples. I'm going to try to get those to pop up. But as you can see, this port kept the scan lines in, which gives it a rather authentic look. Okay, so 800. That's how much I thought the pineapples were worth. And after you ring the bell for the 4th time, see, I got my gloves stolen. And Katie Kangaroo's hands are too small to attack when she has no boxing gloves. I think not. And of course, as you see, you get 200 points whenever you punch out an apple. Oh dear. And there's another thing to keep in mind. Falls to your death can occur if you're... You see how low that first platform is that you jump to? If you so much as hop off the side of that, which there's like that much distance, if even that, between the between that platform and the bottom floor, like right there, that's all the distance you have to fall for it to kill you. So you really got to be careful with your jumping in this game. But yeah, I never heard the music in gameplay back in the day when I played this. You know, because I always played the Atari licensed version. Oh snap, that was close. Which, as you can see, the Atari well, you can't really see it because we're not playing the Atari version. It's not even available on this port. Of course, why would it be? Because Sunsoft actually owns the game. So, of course, they would use just their own version. But yeah, so the music in the Atari version is replaced with the hopping of the Mama Kangaroo. Such a fun game. I've been wanting to come back and stream it again for a while. It's been like a month or two, I think, since I last streamed it. But yeah, as you can see in this stage, you got to keep punching the monkeys until they fall out of the column, and keep the other monkeys from getting to the column. You don't have to punch the entire column down. You just have to lower the cage enough to where you can reach Joey, or reach the platform that he's on, I should say. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seemed like we should have been able to. Oh. Shame we can't jump straight to that platform. That would make things a lot easier. Whoa! Oh, jeez. So as you can see, just like in Donkey Kong, you have a bonus counter, and you can't do that in the actual game. That's just a fun little animation they show you, but you cannot actually knock the apple cores back at the monkeys. If you try that, you'll just punch out the cores or apples, whichever they are. So yeah, whenever you get to the top, you get however many points are still in the bonus, just like in Donkey Kong. You know, this game, when it gets right down to it, it is largely a copy of Donkey Kong. But like I said, I really like this game because it managed to use the basic concept without just full-on copying the game. You know, like, say, Crazy Kong did. This game doesn't do that. And plus, you know, the fact that it got its own segment on Saturday Supercade, that really drives home the fact that this game was really popular back in the day. In fact, wasn't too long ago, I was visiting somebody else's stream. Blue-Eyed Gamer is his name. No, old Blue-Eyed Gamer, Old Blue Eyes, something or other, something along those lines. I apologize for not being able to get the full correct name out there. But he asked me for some arcade games that I would recommend. Because he hasn't played a whole lot of arcade games. And this is one of the games that I recommended to him. And somebody else who happened to be in the stream said, "Oh, I love Kangaroo." So, Kangaroo's still got its fans out there, even to this day, which is great to see. Okay, so we're getting there. We still got a ways to go before we beat our high score from last time. Be awesome if we can hit 50,000 tonight. Don't know that we'll actually do that, but let's say that's our goal. Because last time we wanted to hit 40,000 and we got that. I know I could be ringing the bell and picking up higher valued fruit, but I guess I'm trying to play this a bit more like I would at an arcade where they encourage a little more competitive gameplay. Point pressing is, or padding as some people like to call it, is a practice that that the high score community is trying to get away from. So that's why I'm not going after the higher fruits as much by ringing the bell. Okay, so I gotta be a bit more careful about making my jumps this time around. What the hey, might as well that time, right? So we've got all the trophies for this game, so we are not playing for trophies or anything like that. It's mainly for higher scores. And also to have a good time in memory of a very special cat and a star here on Twitch. So basically, Mr. Yeti had a feature in his channel where you could regress, or you could request that that he get a hold of Baby and hold him up for the camera. And Baby was always a great sport about it. It's just hard right now to imagine things without him being a part of the channel. Alright, cool. And unfortunately, we are down to our last life. So we're gonna have to play things cautiously here. The last time I saw this game, other than at the Galloping Ghost, which now has this game, I saw it at a game and collectible store in my area, and he he had some arcade games in the basement of the store that you could go downstairs and play. And this is one of the ones he had. And at that point, I hadn't seen an arcade cabinet of it in I don't know how long. It was so great to see it again. Let's see. Cool. We made it out with a pretty decent bonus, I'd say. So, as you've seen, punching the monkeys is worth 200 points apiece. And I think that's the amount the apples are worth too if you punch them out. I'm gonna have to observe a little more closely the next time I do that. And then the point values of the fruits double each time you pick them up. Like the first time when you pick up a strawberry, it's worth 100 points. Picking up a tomato is worth 200. And then picking up a berry cluster is worth 400. And the pineapples are worth 800 points. Which those 800 point pineapples, those are it's a pretty big point value in this game. As you... Alright, the heck with it. I was going to try to punch out an apple, but... we were just better off just going after Joey. Wow! Wow, I can't believe we didn't get hit there. I ain't gonna cry over it, though. Not by any means. Oh. I was about ready to say, do you mind? Wow. Can't believe we didn't lose the gloves there. I thought for sure we were going to lose them. Well, since we're already here... Okay, yeah. So it's, So the apples are worth 200 points when they're punched out. Good to know. Alright, the heck with that strawberry. We'll just clear the level and get on out of here. And we got us a 200-point tomato. And we just lost our gloves. So we're stuck just holding out a white flag for now. There we go. Didn't take those gloves too long to come back. But yeah, like I said, I believe in the original, in the Atari version of the game, I think the gloves are placed, oh dear, elsewhere on the screen, and you actually have to retrieve them. While the monkeys are trying to join the column, you can down them with one punch. But if they're already in the column, then it's going to take multiple punches. Oh, are you serious? So the no monkey business in this stream quote is due to the name of the gang of monkeys in the cartoon on Saturday Supercade being called the Monkey Business Gang. And we are through the second loop. Again, that cannot be done in the main game. That's just a fun little animation that the game gives you for clearing the second loop. They have fun little animations like that for clearing each loop. Oh, should have ducked there. Well, we still got some time. Let's give this another go. This game does have catchy music, I've got to say. You know, even though everything was pretty much public domain by this point, except maybe that song that plays in between screens. I'm not sure if it's a song that already existed. I'm not sure what that is. Not any of these. This one, that one right there. I'm not sure what that song is. I'm assuming it's something that was composed just for the game. But the rest of the songs in this game are all public domain offerings. But yeah, this game came out the year after Donkey Kong, and in a lot of ways, I actually like this game better than Donkey Kong. This is such a cool game. Especially when you punch the monkeys out of the column. It's pretty satisfying. You get more points as well because you have to punch them multiple times to knock them out. Nice. Now, if all the monkeys get up those vines on the third stage, then they'll drop that whole huge, I mean absolutely huge stack of apples on you, which is not a situation you want to find yourself in. So it's best to try to clear that stage quickly if you can. And once again, folks, that's just a fun little animation. You cannot actually knock an apple core back at a monkey at any time. I think not. I think not. Grab a few more strawberries before we head out of the stage. Oh. Come on, bring it down. But yeah, I can't think of any other way that Atari modified the gameplay of this game, other than possibly making it to where you have to pick up your boxing gloves after they're taken, rather than them just growing back after a time like they do in the Sunsoft release. That was a close call, folks, but it worked out for us in the end. Yeah, you see how that vine leads up to the large stack of apples? If you let enough monkeys get to that, then they'll drop that whole stack of apples on you. which is not something you want. Because this isn't Pac-Man. Apples are not your friend here. Oh! Should have ducked. Our score's looking pretty good. And that's probably what I was most concerned about there, but I really shouldn't have been. So we gotta punch out 2 more monkeys. 1 more now. There we go. Once there's only 1 monkey holding the cage up, it's low enough that you can rescue Joey. Oh no! Oh! So yeah, in the Atari release, instead of the text popping up in katakana, it pops up in English. That's the main thing the main difference I noticed, besides the lack of music and it placed with bleep bloop bleep bloop bleep bloop, the sound of the kangaroo hopping, which normally Atari would make changes that changed the way the game was played. So it's interesting that that seems to be just about all they did to it. Like I know in Fast Freddy, which was a game that Kaneko made back in 1982 and then Atari released here in the U.S., Atari changed it so that you can't kick infinitely anymore. In the Atari version, there's a kick meter. And once it runs out, you're defenseless. And you can only avoid all the enemies that are coming. You can't kick them out of the way. And in Arabian, which is a game I would really like to cover soon. And I hope that one gets made available on PS4 sooner rather than later. Atari released that one here in the US as well. But they made a change to that also by making it to where you can't fall an unlimited distance and stay alive in the Atari version. In the oh dear. Uh-oh. I gotta tell you folks, that got a bit hectic. But we completed the loop. Oh! That's another thing you got to watch out for is the height at which the apples are thrown. If they're thrown at your feet, then you need to jump over the apple. If they're thrown at your head, then you need to duck at it. You need to duck it. If it's thrown mid-height, you can still jump over it. But your safest bet there is to punch it if you can. Not only do you get points, but you also get rid of the danger. fact, the only way you can punch the apples is if they are thrown at mid-height. If they're thrown at your feet or at your head, then you can't punch the apple. You just have to avoid it. And there he goes with the gloves. I gotta say, this version is considerably easier because of the gloves growing back without you having to pick them up. If that's indeed how the game works. I suspect that's how it works. Whoa! Whew! I was making a big mistake there by not going ahead and clearing the level. I should have just done that. Oh! Well, at least you do get points for taking the monkeys out, even if you do so by touching them, which that takes you out. But hey, at least you get points for it in the end. So at least you get a little something out of it. If only it were that easy. Oh, come on. Oh! Should have gotten a little further back. Because I could kind of tell that the monkey was about to chuck an apple. Goodbye. Oh my gosh. $46,500. Needed a recap of what our score to beat was. It'd be interesting to check the leaderboard and see where we stand on it. I know we're probably not very high, but still. It would be cool to see how we fare against everybody else who's playing this game on PS4 currently. That's the thing you gotta remember. Although this game has leaderboards, they don't keep track of the records on arcade hardware. So you can't really use them as a gauge to say you've got the world record. You may in fact have it, but oftentimes the scores at the top of the high scoreboard are not higher than the ones recognized by Twin Galaxies. There we go. All right, Joey, let's go home. Look at that. Wait for it. So I forget what that particular melody is called. I'm wanting to say it's like Westminster something, but that may in fact not be it. Westminster Chimes is what I'm thinking. I mean, that sounds like it could be right, but the title is off, or the title I'm believing it is off by a little bit, I believe. At least the big ape stayed toward the bottom this time and didn't come right up at us at the top. This is where our points are going to start to pick up. Thank goodness you can't be taken out by touching the monkeys that are in the column. They have to actually be heading towards you in order for you to take damage from them. What? Oh my gosh, that was bogus. I mean, yeah, I know we could have avoided that, but... You know, we jumped on the platform. We were... Alright, the heck with it this time. We'll just go ahead and get Joey and get the heck out. Okay. Score's not looking... Oh! I wasn't sure if we could hit him right there. But if I'd have been a little more sure of it, we would have tried it. No. Oh, jeez. Let's see here. Wait till that monkey goes off screen, and then we will make a break for it. And we've done it. That's 2 loops done. We haven't beaten the 3rd loop yet, I don't think. If we can, we will definitely beat our high score here. Man, they don't waste any time at all throwing apples there. Because I was thinking... you had at least a little bit of time to nail the monkey right as you get up on it. But apparently, unless you're right there, you're best off not to even try for that. At least not on level 3. Just be ready to deal with his apple, whichever level it's going to come from. Okay, hold on a second. I want to check the online rankings real quick. Okay. Number 11. It's actually higher up than I thought. Of course, nah, we won't, we won't reset. I was thinking about it, but I don't guess we'll do that. At least now we know the kind of score we gotta beat for that leaderboard. You gotta keep in mind there is another leaderboard for high score mode. The difference is in high score mode you're not allowed to continue and you're not allowed to pause. If you pause the game, then you have to start back from the beginning. But yeah, the regular screen or the regular score table, it allows continues and pauses. Which is why I don't put a terrible amount of stock into it, but with this game, I don't think it makes much of a difference because you cannot continue in this game. 3 lives, and you're done. Or 4 if you manage to get an extra life, which that occurs at 10,000 points. Didn't quite score that high this time. Let's knock this monkey out. I'm hoping to score at least 50,000 points tonight in one game. Although I gotta be honest, I'm surprised we're still in the top 20. I mean, I would imagine there's probably been Lord knows how many people playing since then, and certainly there's quite a few who have reached 40,000 points or more. At least that's what I was thinking. I don't think so. So 5,300. Now that we've got Joey. I think not. Okay, I'll take it. I was wanting to punch that last monkey out at the bottom, but hey, sometimes it's not always prudent. And that could have proven to be one of those times if I hadn't have gone ahead and let the... Come on! I pressed diagonally up and jump. See that? If you so much as fall that far, then you're dead. Oops. We're going to go ahead and start the game over again. This is one of those games that if I had the opportunity to buy it, I probably would. Just because I've always been such a big fan of this game. And like I've said multiple times, I'm also a fan of the fact that that it was able to give us a good Donkey Kong style challenge and similar gameplay without outright copying Donkey Kong. A lot of times, games of that time period just weren't able to give you that good balance like that. It was always great to see it when one did give you that balance. Excuse me. Alright, let's punch out a column of monkeys, shall we? Others might think a barrel of monkeys is fun, but for us, a column of monkeys is even more fun. Cool. And we just got us an extra life. And we are through the first loop. Let's see how we do in the second and third loops. I gotta say, it's gonna be so cool if we actually make it to 50,000 points. But we'll have to see how... What? I punched that. That was bogus, folks. That was absolutely bogus. Westminster chimes. There we go. Punched several monkeys on the way up. So 16,800. And a few points growing even further is what we need in order to beat or surpass our previous high score. Good night. 19,100. I don't think so. Gotcha! And we even punched out the full column of monkeys first. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that other one is not going to hit your feet. So at least it can tell when you're legit on the platformer and when you're not. Like right there, it looked like the apple might actually hit you, but it doesn't. Which I do like that, because that means, by and large, it's not a cheap death. And here we are in the third loop. Oh my gosh. I gotta quit doing that. My gosh. This game definitely does not play around after the second loop. And unfortunately, we lost the strawberry at the bottom. So we're going to have 100 points fewer by clearing that stage. Yoo-hoo! I'll make you famous. Move over, little Mac. Katie Kangaroo would love to have a word with you on why you think you're the best boxer out there, as I think she begs to differ. think I'm almost at the point now where I can beat the second loop without dying. There's just certain elements of it I need to learn just a little bit better and react a little better to. Hey Reed, how's it going? Good to see you. Welcome to tonight's Kangaroo gameplay. Uh-oh. Oh, jeez. I'm doing well. Just having a nice chill arcade stream tonight, which that's what we do here on Throwback Thursday. It's always a retro game of some sort, and most times it's arcade titles, because that's what I grew up playing. And we streamed this one a while back, but it seemed like a good time to come back to it. Alright, cool. There we go. Yeah, a lot... You know, it's mostly stuff that's in arcade archives, but every now and then we'll find, you know, there's an arcade title or two that are not part of that package that still tends to suit my fancy. So if you're not familiar with this game, this is Kangaroo, which was released in 1982. By Sun Electronics, which would later become Sunsoft. And unfortunately, we are now without... Well, we were. Now we can actually punch again. So, that large ape... let's see. It's really cool. What kind of system are you... this is a PS4. This game is part of the Arcade Archives line, and I think this one joined it a couple of months ago. But yeah, this game is, as you can probably tell, it's a Donkey Kong style game. Oh yeah, there's Arcade Archives has a lot of great games. And the newest game in the lineup is Super Cobra. Yeah, see, one of the things I like about this game is it managed to give you a good experience without totally ripping off Donkey Kong, you know? It's got enough play mechanics that kind of differentiate it from Donkey Kong. A lot of games that like tried to copy Donkey Kong couldn't pull that off. If it tells you anything about how popular this game probably was, Kangaroo got a place in the Saturday Supercade lineup back in the 1984-1985 season. If you've never heard of Saturday Supercade, it was a cartoon block on CBS. Which had all video game related cartoons. The way it went, it was a half-hour block, or no, it was a 1 hour block, and you got 4 15-minute segments. I'm gonna go ahead and take another death here because I don't like the way this run is going now. Go ahead. So anyhow, in the first season of Saturday Supercade, the cartoons featured were Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., Frogger, Pitfall, and Cubert. And every week you would get a Donkey Kong, Frogger, and Donkey Kong Jr. cartoon. The other two alternated from week to week. Like one week you would get a Pitfall cartoon, And then the next week you would get a Q*bert cartoon. Well, Q*bert has since become the only cartoon in Saturday Supercade to get a DVD release. And I could not pass that up. Oh, jeez. That's another thing you'll learn very quickly about this game. You cannot fall at all. Just falling that little bit is enough to kill you in this game. So we're trying to get to 50,000 points tonight. That's my big goal. But yeah, so during the 1984-85 season of Saturday Supercade, they kept Donkey Kong and Q*bert. And Q*bert went from being a bi-weekly series to being a weekly series. And they got rid of all the rest of the cartoons. You know, Donkey Kong Jr., gone. Frogger, gone. Pitfall, gone. And they were replaced with Kangaroo and Space Ace. By the way, I think next week on Throwback Thursday, we're going to cover Space Ace and the 2 Dragon's Lair games. Those are games that I've streamed before, but it's been a while since I last streamed them. And I feel like now's a good time to dive back into it. Are you familiar with Space Ace at all? If not, that was a Laserdisc arcade game that came out in 1984. And it was different from other games at the time because it featured, instead of like, most of this is a little before me, born in late 88. Oh, okay. So you kind of missed the Laserdisc era, I'm guessing. It's kind of a shame, but I'm going to be playing Space Ace and Dragon's Lair here next week. So basically what was going on with Space Ace and Dragon's Lair is those games ran on Laserdiscs, like I said. And instead of you being in complete control of your character, you had to make the proper input at key areas. If you made the right input at the right time, your character lived and could go on through the adventure. But if your input was wrong or done at the wrong time, then you got to see him die. And there was a lot of different animations it could take. And a lot of them, they tended to be more comical in that game than gruesome. Because don't forget, this wasn't a time when video games catered mostly to younger audiences, more so than they do today. You know, games like this, certainly they do cater to younger audiences, but mostly those of us who grew up with it, we're most of the ones that find the most enjoyment out of them. But yeah, so Don Bluth, who had been an animator with Disney, he was the one that drew the animation for the Space Ace and Dragon's Lair games. And the games had a Laserdisc player inside. And like the eye would skip around the Laserdisc to play the regular game and the death animations, which unfortunately for Laserdiscs, yeah, the Dragon's Lair game is iconic, so that one is a bit well known. I wasn't aware of Space Ace though. Okay, well, Space Ace came out the following year, but same basic concept. The only difference is instead of instead of being a knight in a castle, you're trying to rescue a princess in space, and you're a space warrior. Well, you were a space warrior, let's just say. But then you got zapped by a weapon called the Infanto Ray. And from that point on, your character is, well, he's a kid throughout most of the game. There are some points where you can change back into your full-size heroic self, but only on occasion, and you always turn back into the kid. Basically, the goal is you want to not only get your girlfriend Kimberly back, but you also want to destroy the Infanto Ray and get your manhood back permanently. Well, the cartoon is not as well animated as the game because they didn't have access to Don Bluth, who, like I said, before he went on his own, Don Bluth had been an animator for Disney. And some of the cartoons he did when he broke away from Disney, you might have heard of some of these. You were born right around the time these were coming out. Don Bluth is responsible for An American Tail, All Dogs Go to Heaven, and The Land Before Time, just to name a few. If you remember how well animated those shows are, watch most of those. Heck yeah! So that'll give you an idea of the quality of animation that you're in store for with these games. Well, fortunately for modern consoles, they didn't just release the games individually. They released them in a pack that has both, what you know, the Sorrow and Land Before Time. Oh, yeah. The Sorrow. That title's not ringing a bell to me. But Land Before Time, I remember going to see that when it was in theaters. I didn't watch most of the ones that came after. I've seen the first one and the second one, but I know there's a whole bunch more since then. I just never got around to watching all the ones that came after. Land Before Time. Oh yeah, yeah, it was. It definitely was. Three horns never play with long necks. It's like not only did Littlefoot have to deal with that kind of prejudice, but he also lost his mother before he was full grown. But yeah, Don Bluth was the animator of those cartoons, and he also drew for Laserdisc video games back in the early to mid '80s, which was super cool. And you knew you were getting some great quality animation with him. But yeah, the big problem that the Laserdisc games had was the players would break down. And that was because they weren't built to, the eye was not built to skip around like they have to do on the disc. You know, they were built to play through the movie like start to finish, and that's it. You know, the rewind was not something they were built to do, which is essentially what they were expected to do with the games. And because they were having to do something they weren't designed to do, the players tended to break down much faster than what was intended. Oh dear. So yeah, it's like it wasn't a question of the quality of the players. It's just them having to do something they were never designed to do. That's why they kept breaking down so quickly. Therefore, these days, when an arcade has those games, they usually run the Daphne emulator, which just to save wear and tear and having to replace the player and whatnot. Oh, jeez. I thought it was just 3 apples per monkey. So yeah, most of them these days just run an emulator, and they could have games on them like the Space Ace games. Well, actually, there's only one Space Ace game. There's 2 Dragon's Lair arcade games, but I've always wanted to play Dragon's Lair 3 for the Xbox. Never gotten to play that. And, yeah, then there were other games. Some of the Laserdisc games were light gun games. Those were really cool. Like, there's one called Mad Dog McCree, which takes place during the Old West. Really, really cool concept. Now, that one wasn't animated. They got real-life actors for that one. And you can see them fall over when they're shot, or like tumble off buildings and stuff. Really, really cool concept. And that has also been released, like, for multiple consoles, like the original Wii. They released Mad Dog McCree for that, and you could use the Wiimote like a light gun. Unfortunately, the Laserdisc, yeah, it was super cool. They actually released the Mad Dog McCree games for consoles at the time, like the 3DO and the Sega CD. But unfortunately, you didn't get full screen animation on those, and it was rather pixelated, which took away from it a bit. And there's one console I know of that gave you a full screen picture and it wasn't pixelated, and that is the Philips CDI, which I have one of those in this room with me. Never been able to play it because I don't have I've never had access to a controller. But, one of these days, hopefully I'll get one. Or, maybe the Polymega will be able to support 3DO games, or not 3DO, but CDI games one day. I've only got one CDI game, though, and that's Pinball. But there are several other games that were... Really, dude? I was on such a roll, and you had to go and do something like that. So as you can see, every time you hit the bell, fruit pops up that's of higher value. And it's always double the points of whatever fruit was before it. Oh, no, you don't. Oh, okay. So, like, the strawberries are worth 100 points, and then the tomatoes are worth 200. The berry clusters are worth 400, and the pineapples are the highest point value fruit at 800 points per pickup. But you have to ring the bell 3 times in order to get the pineapples to show up. And I'm sure playing the way you would have to play to do that would not be acceptable in the scoring community. Because you would have to, in order to get the most out of that, you would have to go around, pick up all the fruit, ring the bell, and then do it all again, which would mean going back through the stage to pick up the fruit again. And then keep ringing the bell until eventually it gives you pineapples. Will you slow down? Alright, the heck with it. I'm not gonna knock that last one out. We'll just jump up to Joey and move on. So yeah, the mother kangaroo does not have a name in the original game. But in the Saturday Supercade segment, she's called Katie. So she does have a name in that. So I tend to call her Katie as well. Just to kind of keep up with the trend of the cartoon series. Alright, good. We were actually able to bum rush the monkey. And gain some ground here in this level. Nice, we made it. So we still got a ways to go to reach our high score, but it feels like it's within touching distance now. If we can keep progressing on this level, we should be able to get it. Oh, no, you don't. What? What? Oh, that was bogus. That was absolutely bogus. Time to go to prep dinner for the family. Okay, thanks so much. I appreciate you being here. And, yeah, hope to see you back for next Throwback Thursday, if not before. Have a good meal. Okay. Well, we're gaining some decent ground, but we still got a little ways to go. Awesome! I'm glad to hear that. Have a great meal. Oops. I don't know why I even jumped at that strawberry right there when we could go through the stage proper and get it. Cannot figure out why I did that. Night, night, pal. Oops. Oh, no, you don't. Nope. Try again. Oh. Come off it. Okay, we're not going to get it that on this play. There's just no way. Come on. Thank you. So one more monkey punched at least. There we go. We're back to the score we usually have for this stage. And this is one of those games, it doesn't matter if the music's playing or not, it's still pretty equally fun to play either way. That is so satisfying, seeing the monkeys laid out from a single punch. Now, if we can keep this going and get a bit of the roll we had going on last time, we might actually be able to reach 50,000 this time. Oh, well, scratch that. We needed to avoid dying there. Which, of course, we didn't do. But the stream is still young. I gotta say, the animations of the monkeys throwing the apples is pretty impressive for that time. Well, I don't know. Now that I look at it, there's like maybe 2-3 frames of animation tops. And it is interesting how the scan lines are left in for this game. Like, there doesn't seem to be an option to get rid of the scan lines. Which you don't really see that in a whole lot of games in the Arcade Archives lineup. Now, Route 13 or Route 16, whichever it's called, that one, that's a Sunsoft game I'd never heard of until that one hit Arcade Archives. I kind of want to go back and play that some more at some point. I've not streamed that one before. I might actually stream that sometime. Maybe the Thursday after we feature Space Ace and Dragon's Lair. That'd be a fun time to stream Route 16. Pretty sure 16 is what it's called. But yeah, that game's very reminiscent of Rally X. Which, that game, as I understand, was the game that all the industry executives thought was going to be the big game of 1980 or 1981. I think it was 81, actually, they were predicting for. But the buzz on the AMOA floor was that Defender and Pac-Man were going to bomb Pac-Man because it just kept going on and on. And, you know, there really wasn't a whole lot to the game, they felt. Defender, they said, was just way too complicated because it had a ton of buttons on the cabinet. I'm talking, I think there's 5 buttons on it. Wait a minute. Okay, so you had the up and down joystick, you had thrust, fire, smart bomb, and hyperspace. So at least 4 buttons. And then a stick. And then beyond that, you also had in Stargate, they added another button, And that was the Invisicloak button. At least I think that was what it was called. It was basically you used an antimatter cloaking device when you pressed that button. But yeah, so it's funny how things worked out because they said Rally X was going to be the big game. Well, that was the game out of those three that I never heard of until Namco Museum came around and featured that game along with a bunch of Namco's other hits. Pac-Man being one of them. Let's not forget, Namco created Pac-Man, but it was released here in the U.S. by Midway. At one point, somebody from Midway, actually it was George Gomez who said this. He said they at one point were putting out 1,200 Pac-Man machines a day. He said, and that's not an exaggeration. Which, that's crazy. Could you imagine that many arcade cabinets just rolling off the assembly line and it's the same game every single time? You know, just imagine how much success this was bringing in for Midway. Wow! That was pretty close. So, Route 16, a bunch of the Pac-Man games one of these days we're going to have to stream. I intended to do that a long time ago, but unfortunately, things just didn't work out for me as far as, my gosh! Gotta remember, if it's at the middle level, don't jump it. Punch it. Or don't duck it, at least. You can kind of jump over them. Ducking them is what you can't do when they're thrown towards the middle. But still, punching them is your best bet. Get over here, Joey. I always found it interesting that Joey is a boxing kangaroo as well, but he never uses the gloves for anything. Oh, no! Well, we'll go ahead and step off the edge there. Oops. There we go. Now that one getting ready to climb the stairs. We'll get him as he's going up. Oh, get up the ladder, Katie. I think not. There we go. Call me a bit OCD, but I like knocking out all those monkeys when possible. Wait for it. Okay. Nice. We might actually have to make it to round 4. Well, loop 4, I should say. In order to get to 50,000, but we'll see. Right now, we're at least making it to 3 with some consistency. $15,900. Oh, no, you don't. Okay, cool. Just got the gloves back. Closing in on 20,000, but we still got a little ways to go before we hit that. Ooh! 2 for the price of 1 there. Cool. 24,300. Not too shabby. I can't remember the last time we got this kind of score in one life. Gotta say, I'm at risk of jinxing it. So far, oh, and I jinxed it. I was getting ready to say I'm happy with the way this run is going, but then that had to go and happen. But I kind of had a feeling something like that was going to happen. So now here we go to the 3rd loop. And that death we just experienced, that's our first one with this current run. I have to say, that is one thing I'm happy about. If we can keep this up, we might actually clear the stage with no deaths. Oh dear. Cool. Wasn't sure if we were gonna make it to the top or not, but we made it. We've got a little over 17,000 points that we need to get to meet our current high score. A little under that now. There we go. 31,900. We are steadily making our way. Oh, no you don't. No you don't either. We're just gonna get Joey and get out of there. And we are now less than 10,000 points away from meeting our current high score. And we are through the third loop, folks. Gotta say, this feels good. It's been quite a while since we've managed to get this far. Man, it's... Oh, whoa! That was close. Oh my gosh! So we're at 40,000. Well, a little more than that now. My gosh! Yeah, of course I'll take those berry clusters. My gosh! Still, that's only the second time we've ever broken the 40,000 point mark. But my gosh, that fourth loop is brutal. Certainly going to take a lot of practice before we can put that loop to bed. Of course, now we know we're not going to have to get through the loop to get 50,000 points. And thank goodness for that. Because that loop's going to be a pain in my you-know-what. There we go. Oh. I don't think so, pal. Hey. I don't think you're getting away. Where do you think you're going? You know, I think we could have actually beaten our high score if we hadn't died in the second loop. And I know we can get through that stage with the that stage we died at. I know we can do it without that happening. There we go. 10,700. I don't know if our score's been quite that high before by this point. Oh, no, you don't. Cool. 12,800. She just knocked the Knock the apple back. Not like, no, you keep that. What? Okay, that was head level. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and take another death. And another, and another. Until this run is ended. Because we really need to try to go deathless through the second loop, and probably the third as well, if we want to reach our score goal. But there is kind of an easy way. It seems kind of like cheating to me, but hey. I mean, technically it is something the game allows you to do, which is to collect those fruits, ring the bell, and then go back and get them again. Oh, no, you don't. I don't know where you think you were going, but I assure you, the fates had other plans for you. Namely, feeding my score. Hopefully Arabian will hit Arcade Archives really soon. It's already available for the Switch. But it would be great once it hits PS4 so I can actually stream it for you guys. And we just got our extra life. Oh, knock it off, would you? We really need that, that other life. Okay. Apple core to the head it is. That was a little too close. Got him. And then this monkey over here is going to get his face caved in. Like so. Katie Kangaroo may not look it, but word on the street is that she rivals Drago in punching power. Whatever Katie hits, she destroys. Thought that was true of Drago. You ain't seen nothing yet, pal. Ah! And yet she can be felled by a single apple core. Alright, let's go for it again. And stage 1 is out of the way. Okay, they call them rounds in this game. But yeah, I know I've said this before, but I really like how this game was able to take a common theme, like Donkey Kong's climbing to the top and platforming, but they were able to put their own little spin on it and turn this into a game that's got its own identity. You know, you don't usually hear people say, "Oh, Kangaroo, you mean that cheap Donkey Kong knockoff?" No. It's got an identity all its own. The fact that it got its own segment on Saturday Supercade is really all that needs to be said. You know, did Crazy Kong ever get that? Did Logger ever get that? Or any of the others that copied off not only the concept of Donkey Kong, but also all of its characters. Woo! No! Way to ruin a perfectly good run. Go on, do it again. You know you want to. Round 2. Let's do this. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That was bogus. Oh, excuse me, folks. There we go. Let's keep it going, folks. There we go. And that one's getting up there a little too fast for us to get to him. But that's okay. I should have just gone forward and then turned back around and clocked that apple core, rather than turn around to the rear and then try to come back and clock it. We got a lot more runs in us tonight, folks. We're not going to be done for a while yet, I predict. At least not until we hit 50,000. Hopefully we can do that tonight. I don't think so. You better uncock that arm right this second, pal. The name Son Son just popped into my head thinking of Capcom's monkey-like character from one of their very first arcade games. It was either the second or the third one they ever put out. One that I don't think got a US release at all. At least not in arcade form. It finally got one on arcade compilations, but not as a standalone cabinet. I like that game too, Son Son. It's pretty fun. I think I might have streamed it a little bit during one of my Capcom arcade cabinet streams. I don't think so, pal. Okay. I wasn't intending for that to happen, but if that's what you want to do, I can certainly oblige you. That would have almost seemed like point pressing to some people, even though I did not intentionally get that monkey to join the... Oh, jeez. Okay, that's not acceptable. We're gonna have to go on to the next run. Boink. Yeah, we need to be getting at least through the first 2 loops with no deaths if we're gonna break 50,000. Ideally, probably the first 3 with no deaths, which we can do that. I believe we can, because I'm pretty sure we got through loop 3 with no deaths, and we got through loop 2 with just 1 death, and I know we can beat that level without dying. It's just a matter of not getting sloppy. Which I'll admit it, I have times when I do get sloppy. It's all a matter of getting yourself out of that slump and then going on the way you were. Like getting that ground back. Okay. So we're at 5,300. There we go. There we go. 11,000 on the button. Not too shabby at all. Go on, drop that apple on me. Go on, drop it again. Thank you. And one more time. I was off center. Alright, let's try this again. We were doing good right there till we hit that level. That's exactly what I was talking about, getting sloppy. Which I've got no one to blame but myself for that. Good night. Oops. Okay, now we got to get up there quick if we're going to catch that that other monkey on his way up. Got him. Oh, we could have caught that one. Punched him out. Oops. I don't think so. Let's see, 10,700. And there is our extra life. Good night. $12,900. Heading into the second loop. Get out of here with that. So tell me. Tell me, Mr. Monkey, how do you like those apples? Ha ha! 15,700. This may not be the run where we get it, but we are definitely making some good progress here. No! Come on! We really needed to clear that no deaths. No, that was just a lousy jump right there. That's all that was. Okay. I'll take that. I'll take that. So, round 2 time. Come on. I do like how the halo appears over not only your character, but also the monkeys when they get punched out. That's pretty funny. especially since they've been anything but good. Mischievous to the max. Nice. There we go. 10,900. There we go. Exactly what I needed you to do. Just get down that ladder. You threw it wrong. So now we gotta die 2 more times in order to start a fresh run. And let's do it again. I guess that's where I was wondering if that was supposed to be some kind of story, or if the game was just showing you step off the edge like that, boom, you're gonna die. I'm thinking it's probably the latter. There we go. There we go. So far, so good. Oh, we almost had him. That would have been a good 200 points right there if we'd have nailed that monkey. So close there, folks. $11,600. Wait for it. We're on the up and up now, folks. We are on the up and up. No. $13,900. Heading into the second loop. Wait for it. No. No! Come on! Gosh, this game, I swear, you guys. So we're going to finish up with 15,200, it's looking like. Well, 15,000 on the button, excuse me. Which is not high enough to reach the high score list. But that's okay. That's why we're giving this multiple runs tonight. Give us more chances to get that score that we're trying so hard to get. Come on. Stop it. We're I'm not finishing this run with less than 1,000 points. There's just no way. Even if 1,200 is all we got. In the words of Steely Dan, let's go back, Jack, do it again. We'll turn it round and round. Such a great song. Come on. I gotta remember, on the second loop, monkeys always throw 2 apples, and they always throw 3 on the third. On the fourth, they should throw 4 apples apiece, but it just feels like they're throwing more than that. I don't know if it's just because it's a higher level loop and the difficulty just could be advancing that quickly or what. Oh my gosh! Go on. Kill me. Kill me. $9,100. And to think, we broke 40,000 again earlier for only the second time ever. There we go. Let's get that monkey right there. Monkey see, monkey do, or so the saying goes. Well, what monkey do right now is monkey get flattened by Katie Kangaroo's enormous boxing gloves. Okay, major points to be gotten here if we can play this right. We've seen that, given how many apple cores we've been punching out lately. I really should have been making more of an effort to hit those before. 'Cause I mean, oh my gosh, no! No! I was just getting ready to say, 200 points does not seem like much of a difference maker, because it's such a small point amount in most other games, but this isn't all that high scoring of a game. At least I don't think it is. So 200 points really can make a difference. Especially if you keep getting it. Which that's the beauty part, because the more apples you punch, the more you'll keep getting those 200 point bonuses. There we go. Which that's about how many points we've been getting for the first stage is 2,800. Can't think at a time when we've gotten less than that. There we go. And we just missed nailing that other monkey. $400 points. That's really good. Never mind the fact that it takes multiple hits to take out the monkey. What? Come on! This game, you guys, I swear. Alright, let's do it again. I don't think so, pal. And I'm not sure what's wrong with the counter on screen. Whoa. What the? I thought we timed it properly enough to where that wouldn't happen. And yes, anytime you fall, well, you saw it earlier. You don't just fall a couple of levels, you fall all the way to the bottom of the screen. But it's like one little pixel. If you fall even so much as that far, then you dead. It's like the spelunker level falling. It's like in Spelunker, that would kill you. Cool! We usually don't get that one, but we got him that time. This is a nice little 200 extra points. Nice! 12,000 points right on the button. We came, we saw, we kicked major... Uh-oh. Oh, come on! Did you have to ruin a perfectly good run like that? Jeez. Come on. Get it over with. There we go. So we gotta be quick to get that other monkey in round 2. But we can do it. It's just like we can take out... We could probably hop over Joey and take that monkey out that's behind him. We're not gonna try to do that every time, but probably is something we could do if we so desired. Yeah, we're gonna get it this time. Look at that. And we missed those two. No. Uh-oh. Oh, wow. Right as that whole heap of apple cores was getting released, we cleared the stage. I think not. What? Oh my gosh. That was dumb. Come on. You know you want to. Okay, now I've got to get into the rhythm of getting through that 4th round without dying. We've done it before, so we know we can do it. I've just got to get it in my head what we were doing that made us successful pretty much every time we attempted it. But we'll figure it out. I've already got a plan in my head. There we go. And we got him. 5,500 points. Cool. Cool. 12,000 right on the button. Oh my gosh! It changed its pattern. I didn't think they changed their patterns like that. Well, except for in reaction to how close you're standing to them when they get ready to chuck their apples. They do tend to chuck them faster when you're right in their face. Oops. Take a nap. And we got it. Oh, that one's always a close call. And for some reason, round 4 is being more of a pain than it has been. Cool. Nice. We didn't quite get the score we wanted, but hey, you can't win them all. Sometimes you gotta settle for a slightly lower score in order to survive. Oh my gosh! This game, you guys, I swear. Come on. We're gonna start another run. We cannot be dying in that first round. Or first loop, I should say. I think by this point our goal should be getting to loop 4 with no deaths. And I believe we can do it. Part of me thinks we have done it before. Not sure why we're 200 behind where we were. But we'll see if we can make that up. We definitely can in round 3. That game is points heaven. There we go. Don't you even. Thank you. So we got our average points back. Thanks to catching that monkey at the end. There we go. I don't think so. Oh, whoa! We nailed him just in the nick of time. We almost got our boxing gloves taken away. But there again, right in the nick of time. Alright, I don't get why the monkeys are changing their movement pattern. Oh my gosh, are you serious? Go ahead, kill me. Go ahead. Thank you. Next run. I can't believe all of a sudden we're tanking that 4th round. I was not doing that before. Now all of a sudden, I just don't have it when we get there. You know, we were clearing the first round a lot. Or first loop, I should say, with no deaths. And now all of a sudden, we're not having it anymore. Okay. No! Why did you jump up there? Oh well. We tried. Gosh, you guys. I don't know how I've lost it so bad here in just a couple of hours of gameplay. I mean, we were doing so well earlier, and then now it's like I'm failing every single time we attempt this. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, how's it going, Mike? Great to see you. That's right, Kangaroo's on tap for tonight. This was one of my favorite arcade games when I was growing up. I saw it several places, like one or two of the laundromats where I grew up. Oh. Thanks, I appreciate it so much. I'm kind of tanking it right now, though. See what I mean? Like earlier tonight, I was doing pretty decently at round 4, but now every time I keep dying. And basically, what I'm trying to do here is every time I take a death at during the first loop, I just basically start a whole new run over. Because I'm trying to beat 50,000 points tonight. But the way I'm playing right now, that's not going to happen. We did break 40,000 again tonight, though. And I don't like how some of these monkeys are breaking their patterns. Yeah, it's decently tough, but that's Sunsoft for you. This is one of their games after all. Although, when this game was in arcades in the U.S., it was distributed by Atari. And I think I may have determined a way in which the game is different between Atari and Sunsoft's versions. If I remember correctly, I think when the big ape takes away your boxing gloves, I think he puts them somewhere else in the level, and you have to find them. In this version, they reappear on your hands after a few seconds. Don't you even freaking dare. Ghouls and Ghosts for Super Graphics today. Awesome game, but not fair because you only get 3 continues. Yeah, that game does not play around. Well, none of the Ghosts and Goblins games do, but... My gosh! Alright, I'm gonna have to take a death there. But yeah, I've played that one, the arcade version, and the Genesis version. Yeah. I've never played that particular version, but I've seen what they did, one of 5 games for the system. What, you mean like, the Super Graphics cards? There's only 5 games on those? If that's the case, I didn't know that. That is rather interesting. Yeah, there was only 5 games made for that console. Now that's interesting. Is that a derivative of the TurboGrafx by any chance? Cause I was thinking so. All Japanese. So, oh, okay, I got you. Wow. Sounds like it wasn't all that successful, which I'm sure NEC was disappointed in that. Or TTI, whichever it was. I don't know why it tanked. Yeah, it's hard to tell with some products. With some of them, the writing's just there on the wall, but with others, it's just would leave one scratch in their head. Ah! I thought if I pressed the punch button while I was ducking, it wouldn't punch. Gonna have to remember, don't do that. You want to duck? Don't push that punch button. I'm gonna have to remember that. Alright, let's do the Steely Dan thing where we go back, Jack, do it again. But yeah, there's another Sunsoft game that just recently came out on Arcade Archives. It's out in Japan on the PS4, but not here yet. How simple these games were, yet challenging and addictive. Yeah, exactly. Back then, the games and the sounds didn't need to be what they are now for the games to captivate you. Like, I got to thinking about a game earlier today that has never appeared on any Midway collection. You know, we laugh at how simplistic the graphics are now, but, you know, back then, well, actually, even for 1981, they were simplistic. It was a black and white vector game from 1981 called Omega Race. In all the Midway collections, that one was never released on any of them, and I have no idea why that is. I sure would like to know why they haven't shown it any love. Because I know there's people out there who are into Omega Race. Can you, like, chuck that apple when I'm expecting it to come at me? Can you try doing that? But yeah, so Omega Race was just, like I said, it was a black and white vector game. It's like, even for the time, 1981 was when it came out. There was a book that came out the next year, and it said the biggest flaw in that game was the fact that its graphics were very bare bones. But still, it was a lot of fun to play, and the controls were great. You know, a lot of times, games like it, you would use left and right buttons to rotate your ship. It was one of those games where you could rotate left and right, and you could thrust and fire. Those were all your controls. Well, with this game, you did not rotate using buttons. Instead, they had a knob that was more like the one you used in Tempest to rotate with. And I thought that worked really, really well. But yeah, for some reason, Omega Race has never been on any arcade collections that Midway has put out. And I know that's one game where they would, I guess they anticipated that people would put F-bombs in as the initials. You know, maybe that had been done before, and arcade owners might have been complaining. I don't know, but Midway put a feature in where if you put in the initials FUC or FUK, the game would edit them out, and nothing would appear there. You'd see the score, but no letters next to it at all. So, kudos to Midway for that. Oh, no, you don't. All right, we're going to get it this time. No. Ha ha! Loop 1, no deaths. We were doing that earlier, but that was eluding us for a while. Now here comes the real test. Doing it on loop 2. Oh, we got this level in the bag. That's what happens if you push the punch button when you don't have gloves. The Kangaroo just holds out a white flag because she's defenseless at that point. Those paws of hers are too small to really do anything without those gloves. Okay, we're good here. You cannot punch the bell. Instead, you jump into it and ring it. And when you ring it, it puts higher value bonus fruits onto the screen. Oh, gotta remember, when the apples are mid-level, they can be punched. And there went our attempt at clearing this loop with one life. Well, with 2 deaths, we might as well just go ahead and pack it in. Jax, how's it going? Great to see you tonight. How you doing this evening? So 22,600. Not quite high enough to reach the high score screen. So anyhow, Atari released another game of Sunsoft's back in 1983 called Arabian. That one just recently made it to Arcade Archives. But here in the States, it's only available on the Switch's eStore. It hasn't hit the PlayStation eStore just yet. But yeah, Atari did actually make that game harder than Sunsoft originally had it. Atari tended to do that with some of their licensed titles, I've noticed. Keeping Yeti and the fam in prayers. Oh, I know. That was so sad. I've donated or I've dedicated tonight's stream in Baby's memory, as you probably noticed. Baby was found to have an incurable form of cancer, and Yeti and Christy made the decision to put him to sleep today. I know, you can just imagine how torn up they've got to be, because, I mean, they've had Baby in their lives for 17 years. Yeti posted on Discord yesterday about it. He said in lieu of streaming yesterday, he and Christy were going to spend one more night with him, and then they were going to have him put to sleep just so he wouldn't suffer. It's the kind of decision no pet owner ever wants to make, but in a situation like that, it was the right thing to do. Poor Baby. Yeti didn't specify exactly what the cancer was, but he did say it was incurable. So, bless his heart. You know, Baby was one of a kind. He's never going to be forgotten. Thank goodness so many of his cat cameos have been preserved. And through that, when I had my Doberman as a kid, yeah, pets aren't just pets. They become part of the family, especially when you've had them for so long. Like, I had a couple of cats of my own, and I had one for 15 years, the other for 17. And my gosh, it's rough when it comes time to let them go. You wanna suspend belief and think they'll always be there, but Yeti did say he didn't want to go too long without streaming. I think he's going to be on tonight, or he talked like he was going to be. Of course, if it turns out he needs longer to grieve, nobody's going to blame him at all. But he said he said pretty much streaming is a lot of what's going to help him get through this difficult time. Him and Christy both. Yes, it does. It sure does. And you notice how those how the monkeys are getting onto the vines in the middle? If 5 monkeys get onto those vines, then they let loose that whole huge pile of apples. So we rang the bell just there, and no, this is arcade. The only systems this ever got released for were the Atari 2600 and I think the 5200. Because here in the U.S., Atari was the distributor for this game. Don't you even think about it. It's not too bad. owned the 2600 port years before this became available on Arcade Archives. Oh my gosh, I was sweating that, you guys. I was really sweating that one. Thanks so much. The biggest difference is that there's no coloration on the screen to show that the mother kangaroo has boxing gloves on. And when she punches, you just see her hand get a little bigger, like the fist punching out. Kind of like how the boxing glove does in this. You see the size it is now. It grows in size whenever you punch. See how that's what it's doing? Oh. But yeah, you have to lower the column of monkeys in this level until there's only one holding the platform up. Once there's only one holding it up, then you can jump up to Joey and exit the stage. Oh my gosh. That's going to put a small crimp in our plans for getting to 50,000, but it's still not out of the question. I mean, we've still got a decent number of lives here. We've lost one life, and here we are in the fourth loop. Well, the highest score ever achieved in this game is nowhere near as high as the highest Donkey Kong score is. Well, geez. Well, neither one of them are easy. That much is definitely true. What? And see, whenever new fruit pops up after you ring the bell... Wow! I cannot believe we got through that. Alright, leave it alone. Ha, thank you. My gosh. That don't matter. We're out of here. Oh my gosh, you guys. I thought I was dead meat there. But I'm a little more confident with this level. That's right. That's exactly right. Great Punch-Out reference. Well, we beat our high score. Yes! 50,000 points, here we come! We just got it! And we got through level 3! But are we gonna beat the loop? That remains to be seen. If we don't, I'm still happy with what we've done here. I don't care. I do not care. 54,300 points. That beat our previous high score by 7,800. You're damn Skippy we're putting that on the scoreboard. You're damn Skippy. I don't know how much higher that put us in the rankings, but oh my gosh. I am so happy. Okay, let's take a look at the scoreboard just to see. Okay, so when this refreshes, we're going to be in 8th place on this particular scoreboard. It's worth noting there's 2 different scoreboards on every Arcade Archives release. One is the standard scoreboard, which that's what this one is. And then there's a high score mode scoreboard. The difference is in high score mode, you're not allowed to continue with any game. Not that that's an issue here because there's no continues in this game at all. And you're also not allowed to pause in high score mode. So if you noticed, there's 4 different fruits that could pop up in this game. It starts off strawberries, and then when you ring the bell, it goes to tomatoes. And then after that, it's like, I guess that's berry clusters. It's clusters of something. And then after that, it goes to pineapples, which are the highest value fruit. And as you can see, the fruits go up by 200 points with every one. Like, it starts off 100 for the strawberry, then it goes to 200 for the tomato, and then 400 for the berry cluster, and 800 for the strawberry. Yeah, I agree. That's why I really like this game. It's like, it's one of those games that managed to take the same basic concept of Donkey Kong, but it didn't just copy it. It put its own little spin on it, and because of that, the game's got its own identity. If you want an idea just how popular this game was back in the day, picture this. Back in 1984, the second season of Saturday Supercade aired, and Kangaroo got a segment in that in Saturday Supercade. If you haven't heard of Saturday Supercade, it was a cartoon block that aired from 1983 to 1985, and it was all video game cartoons. And basically what it was, you had 4 cartoons every Saturday. Yeah, exactly. There were 4 cartoons every Saturday, and they were each 15 minutes long. During the first season, the games that were covered were Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., Q*bert, Pitfall, and Frogger. And you got a Donkey Kong Jr., and a Frogger cartoon every week. But Pitfall and Q*bert alternated. Like one week you'd get a Pitfall cartoon, the next week you'd get a Q*bert cartoon. Well, during the second season for 84 to 85, they got rid of 3 of the cartoons. They kept Q*bert and they kept Donkey Kong. And Q*bert at that point became a weekly series. Q*bert, by the way, is the only cartoon out of the entire Saturday Supercade lineup that has gotten a DVD release. Yeah, exactly. Only in this case, it wasn't a weekly show. It was only every Saturday. But yeah, so Q*bert became a weekly series, and it joined Donkey Kong, but the other 3 were taken off, and they were replaced by Kangaroo and Space Ace. By the way, we're going to be playing Space Ace and Dragon's Lair next week for Throwback Thursday. I've streamed those before, but it's been a while, and I'm ready to get back on that one and hopefully beat Dragon's Lair on stream. I've beaten Dragon's Lair before. But, yeah, we're going to be looking at Dragon's Lair 1 and 2 and Space Ace next week on Throwback Thursday. Sadly, the Space Ace cartoon, it is. But you got to admit, the animation in that game is superb. Just like that of Dragon's Lair. Because they were all drawn by the same guy, Don Bluth. Who, unfortunately, had nothing to do with the Saturday Supercade segments. Yeah, Cliffhanger. That's one that they have at the Galloping Ghost Arcade, but I haven't played that one yet. And I remember I think they put that one in on my birthday in 2016, and unfortunately, I had been there the week before, but wasn't there during my birthday. And the second in command of the arcades, when he and Doc were talking about it, he started laughing and said, I don't think anybody was ready for that game. But yeah, the week I was there, the game on tap was Bonk's Adventure. Yes, you heard me correctly. Bonk's Adventure had an arcade game. Oh, they have Laserdisc games on the RetroPie? I didn't know that. I've got a Retro Orange Pie. I might have to look on it and see if I've got that on mine. I know one game, one Laserdisc game. Okay, so they have a Daphne section. I don't think mine has that. Oh, okay. Well, actually, Mike, I think I'm gonna call it a stream here shortly. I really appreciate you guys being here. But yeah, so just as a recap, this stream is dedicated to Mr. Yeti and Christy Kitty, and to the memory of their beloved baby kitty. It's just not going to be the same without his cat cameos around. He will certainly be missed, and Christy and Yeti always called him the true star of the channel, and he will certainly live that. Yep. Glad to see those baby emotes going up. He's never going to be forgotten. That is absolutely for certain. So, thanks to everybody for watching. Here's what's coming up in the channel in the week ahead. So, tomorrow for Fisticuffs Friday, we are going to take another crack at the original Streets of Rage. And for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, we're going to be looking at Darius Gaiden, which was the first arcade game in the Darius series that was actually meant for a single monitor. And on Sunday, we're going back to Doom 2. And then on Throwback Thursday, we're going to be looking at Dragon's Lair 1 and 2 and Space Ace. Mike, Jax, thank you guys both so much for coming. It's been a real blast. Let's see who's on to raid. Not sure if Yeti's on yet, but if he is, not seeing him. Not sure if he's going to be on later tonight. He may need a little more time to grieve after what's gone on today. Which, again, no one's going to fault him at all for that. Let's see. I don't think I've rated Silent Caster ever. Let's go drop in on him. Once again, thank you so much to everybody for tuning in tonight, and look forward to hopefully seeing you guys back tomorrow when we go over the original, the original Streets of Rage. Have a good night, Mike. Have a good one, Jax. Always great to have you guys here. This is Thunderfist 1978 signing off.